HR analytics by in itself is not a subject or not a course that can be done, or it's not a subject in between. It's an application of understanding of the business acumen. For HR people, the HR is the business acumen. So the understanding of the different business processes like recruitment, compensation management, performance management, employee engagement activities, survey, and different kinds of things that an HR person follows in the organization, with application or uses and data analysis of using the HR understanding of the HR business function with statistical knowledge, and increasing the computational intensity of the statistical tools, so that we can actually come out of and design something better that can be giving us the platform or the predictive model on which the entire process can be based upon. We see it in the last section that if the HR need to understand of the functions of HR analytics or statistical function and use the technology or the computational intensity rather than any other people doing the work of an HR analytics. So HR analytics can only work or can only be better if an HR person or a student of HR understand the HR functions or HR processes, understand statistical analysis tools, and then finally increasing the computational intensity depending upon the size of the data that is there. So, on the basis of this, we can understand that there are a number of different ways the entire framework of the HR analytics can be made of. It can be designed in the form of your talent acquisition, attrition control, compensation management, performance management, or different functions. But if we carefully analyze the all the processes that are there, the entire HR analytics usually falls into two different frameworks. One of them is the LAMP framework given by John W. Bordio and Peter M. Rastad, and the other is SCM-21 given by Jack French. We'll be discussing both of the framework, okay, and try to understand how actually we build up the entire HR analytics model. The application of the HR analytics model is based on the fundamental understanding of the frameworks of the HR analytics. So depending upon your choice, it can be a LAMP framework or the SCM-21 framework, whatever the framework the organization or your department or your organization can wants to go for. Okay, so they can go for the LAMP framework given by Bordio and Amstead, or either they can go for SCM-21 that is given by Jack Finch. The first is the LAMP framework given by John W. Badio and Peter Ramsden of the Center of Effectiveness and the University of Southern California Business School of Business. They are actually this entire framework. They are a part of the IBM system. Okay, so yeah, you can get on numbers of details articles on LAMP framework on IBM itself. That is there available in the public platform. Basically, when we talk about the LAMP framework in financial measurement, it is certainly important to measure how the accounting or the finance department operates. Measures such as transaction process time, benchmark staff levels, etc., are important for internal function control. However, the vast majority of the measures used for the financial decisions are not concerned with how finance and accounting services are delivered. Okay. Very few financial measurements tells that line manager about how the finance department conducts its activities. Financial measures typically tell us how well those line managers are have made them decisions about the financial resources. In HR today, the dominant paradigm remains one of is the service delivery. The HR profession describes itself in terms of its function, services, reward, staffing, training, benefit, etc. The dominant framework for working with the business leader and other constituents is based on determining what HR services that need or want, and their satisfaction with those services. So it should be not surprisingly not surprisingly, that most of the HR measures today focuses on HR, how the HR function is using and deploying its resources and whether they are used efficiently. Cost per hire, time to fill vacancies, cost per training hour, etc. are examples. It is not unusual to see line managers held accountable for the efficiency based measurements even when their connection to the organization effectiveness is unknown. The paradigm shift towards talent shift decision making requires future HR to model itself more closely against the decision based functions like finance and marketing that are accountable for improving the decision throughout the organization about their respective resources. Their measurement systems are designed to direct key decision makers to focus on the relevant information. They should hold their systems hold decisions makers accountable for the quality of the decision about the financial or marketing resources. In the same way, HR measurement need to extend its traditional focus on the HR function and increase its capability to support key decisions about human capital that derives organizational effectiveness. This requires a framework for connecting those investment to the organizational effectiveness. The paradigm shift towards the talent decision sciences is the fundamental reason why today HR measurement initiative hits the wall. We can understand how HR can improve the wall by using the framework labeled the LAMP model. The later LAMP stands for four critical components of the measurement system, derives the decision making and the organizational effectiveness. The letter L starts L for logic, A for analysis, M for measures, and P for processes. Measure represents only one component of the system that is being said by many of the so-called practitioners of HR analytics. With due respect with them, uh, though they are very essential, without the other four components that are destined to remain isolated from the true purpose of HR measurement system. Let's talk about the first one, that is the logic. Consider the concept of return of investment or the ROI. It is suggested that the decision about allocating monetary resources should consider the inflow return produced by that allocation, the offsetting outflows of resources required to make the investment, how the inflows and the outflows occur in each future time period, and how to how much what occurs in the future period should be discounted to reflect the greater risk of and price inflation. This factor comes together with an elegant formula that produces an ROI number. With the values each factor are plugged in. The ROI is an example of one decision logic from a very highly involved decision sciences, that is finance. What is often forgetting is that ROI is not a number, it's a logical framework for identifying the important elements of the investment and integrating them in a way that contributes it is to provide with the logical framework and identifies the critical variable and allows the decision makers to think and communicate more clearly about their decision. Assumption that inflows and outflows and discount rates are easily compared when the same when data is sparse. Discussion about the relative values of the investment alternatives are less emotional because the framework guides them. The logic of the ROI is the essential element of its power for decision support. Without ROI logic, even if you are given a perfect data for all the factors of the ROI calculation, it is unlikely that would invent the ROI. In fact, ROI is the 20th century idea, despite of the fact that accounting is hundreds of years old. Logic even without perfect data is a powerful component of the organizational change. In HRM, we do not have the decision support framework as elegant as ROI. And simply applying the ROI logic to the HR investment is not the answer. The ROI component for not available for the most of the HR decision, and the ROI framework really does not focus on the right question for the HR investment because it was developed for the financial investment. However, we can learn much from the elegance and the value of the ROI formula. Even relatively simple framework for the value decision when they help clarify the connection between the array of the factors affecting the decisions and the outcome of the decision. One such factor is the human capital bridge model. The human capital bridge, there are three anchor points in the strategic HR are the impact, effectiveness, and efficiency. Impact asks how will a strategy success increase by improving the quality of the availability of a particular talent pool. Effectiveness asks how much do the HR programs and the process affects the capacity or the action of the employees in each talent pool. Capability that we can ask for capability is can employee contribute, opportunity do employee get the chance to contribute, and motivation do employee wants to contribute are the factors of the human capacity in the human capital bridge decision framework. Efficiency asks how much HR programs and processes activity do we get for investment in the HR programs, practices, and functions. In an example, in an organization, for example, HR might have benchmarks its efficiency by measuring the cost per hire, pay per employee, or time to train. Usually, such benchmarking suggests where the time by cost can be reduced and or when the volume of the HR activity can be increased without spending more. Yet, the more complete analysis suggests that it might make sense to spend more resources than their competitors to get the right manpower precisely because of the strategic importance. Competitors battling to reduce the HR expenditure by hiring those who will work most cheaply may be overlooking the strategic opportunity that better qualified workers can produce and are in the much more pivotal role. The linking element describes the particular strategic components and support the anchor point. For example, to understand the impact requires in defining sustainable strategic success and making that definition specific by understanding where the improvement in the resources being acquired, deployed, or protected, or where the improved process quality, speed, or volume would contribute to the sustainability of the strategical success. Finally, impact requires understanding for the improvement in the Finally, impact requires understanding where the improvement in the quality, quantity of the talent pool and the structure will most improve the key resources of the process. A similar set of sub-elements supports the effectiveness and the efficiency. Simply, we can say on the basis of human capital based model that simply put, the L in the LAMP framework emphasizes how the logic identifies the questions that are most critical to answer. If the logic framework is sufficiently deep, it will articulate the set of specific connection point between HR investment with the effects of the talent pool and the ultimate effect of the organizational outcome. The more precise the logical question, the more precise is the potential measurement and the analysis. One can think of the logic as the source of the question or hypothesis regarding how one thing affects the other to lead for the organizational outcome. The second part of the LAMP model or the second letter of the LAMP model is the A, that is the analytics. Even a very rigorous logic can flounder if it is tested on the data that is not correct or if the analysis is done incorrectly. For example, there may be a very strong logic to suggest that employees' attitude are improved when will convey to the customer, who will in turn give the positive experience. It might be tempting to result that the logic is correlating to the employee's attitude and the customer attitude across several retail locations. If higher employee attitude will improve the uh, customer attitude, of course, this would be wrong. A simple correlation between the employee and the customer attitude does not imply that one caused the other, nor that the employee improving one will lead to the improvement of the other. It may be as easily to lead to the location, and the loyal committed customer are more pleasant to work if the customer attitude actually causes the employee attitude, or the relationship could be due to the third factor. Perhaps the store with the better merchandising or more frequent access to the new product have the higher customer satisfaction because of the product selection, and the higher employee satisfaction because employee like being in on the latest release. What is analytics? It draws on the statistics and research design, but it goes beyond them. So, to include the skill in identifying and articulating the key issues, gathering and using the appropriate data from within and outside the HR function, setting the appropriate standards for rigor and relevance, and enhancing the analytical components of the HR throughout the organization. Analytics transforms the HR data and the measures into rigorous and relevant insights. The more abundant the HR data becomes, the more critical is the analytical capability. Without it, HR business leader can fall victim to improper conclusion or be misled by superficial pattern or poor human capital decision. Analytics ensures that insight from the HR data provide legitimate and reliable foundation for the human capital decision. Thus, analytics is an essential addition to the deep and the rigorous logic for an effective measurement system. As it turns out, more analytical principle and the comprehensive already exist. There are standard way of training of the social scientist in the areas of psychology, sociology, and economics. Many HR organizations already employed as an HR research team. Such teams are often comprised of the social scientists with PhD level training in designing and carrying out researches. They are often focused on analyzing large database such as the employee survey of the or compensation. Sometimes the organization relies on the analytical capability outside the HR functions. For example, organization with strong capabilities in customer and market research called market researchers called in such a to look the pattern of the employee attitude and identifying the employee types. Or engineering engineers may be adept to data mining and identifying the pattern in everything as varied as oil deposit, customer demography, and flows between the supply chain. These groups are sometimes called as to examine the HR data or employee demographic movement patterns between jobs turnover or attitude to try to find useful pattern. Finally, some HR organization calls the outsider with the analytical capabilities with a wide variety of the commercial vendors and the universities. HR analytical teams are also often called upon a subject matter expert to support other HR professionals, or they are asked to educate their HR peer to help raise the level of analytical awareness in the HR function. For example, Sun Microsystem created the R&D laboratory for HR, and over the time, the HR R&D laboratory evolved in the source of specific research to the effect of the HR program to a source of analytical expertise for those in HR uh, uh, to, to a source of forward-looking research on issues deemed to be critical in the strategic future of the organization, such as the virtual work. Whether the analytical skills reside within the HR function is the other part of the company within or outside the organization. The analytical teams are generally focused on fairly narrow HR domain. It is not unusual that for the internal HR research group to attend exclusively to the attitude of the employees, or only to the compensation market data, or only to the mapping follows of the employee through different roles and position. Increasingly, these skills are often valuable outside this rather outside these rather specialized area. Analytical skills are even appearing in competency models. The challenge is to create the HR system and the organization structure that successfully engage these skills where they can have a greatest impact. The next part of the LAMP model is the measurements. Major components of the LAMP model has received perhaps the greatest attention in the HR. List of HR measures abound often categorized as scorecard and dashboard. Much time and attention is paid to enhancing the quality of the measures based on the standard measurement criteria, such as like the timeliness, completeness, reliability, and consistency. These are certainly important standards, but lacking a context that they are pursued, but lacking a context with the pursuit well beyond their optimum level, or they may be applied to areas where they have the little consequences. For example, we often encounter organizations that spends a great deal of time and effort to ensure that the headcount numbers matches when produced by the different business unit or by the finance versus HR. There is often a sentiment our line leaders tell us if we can't even count how many employees we have, they don't trust or our other measures. Yet, well precise headcount number leads to better measurements in these areas. There is always a question mark on this. Fixation of the quality of the measurements can draw attention away from the essential elements of the LAMP framework. This dilemma requires balancing elegance with relevance. But it is not unusual dilemma in the business. The same dilemma is often seen in technical disciplines such as engineering or R&D. Product designer may be able to develop copiers that can produce pixels so fine that the human eyes cannot detect them, or reflective materials for the highway signs that are visible from the several miles away. In both cases, the refinement may be beyond any feasible market values. Avoiding such outcomes requires framing the R&D with a context of customer value and usefulness. In the same way, logic context can help the HR relevance elegance dilemma. The measuring turnover offers a good example. Many HR organizations spends a great deal of time debating about the appropriate formula for turnover measurement or for the precision frequency with which it can be calculated. One HR data warehouse team we work with said that we have built up most sophisticated turnover tracking data and interference in the world. Now we can put it out there and see what our managers do with. Another typical approach is to compare the turnover level with even more precise benchmarks. Yet the implications of the turnover rates with are very different depending upon the context. In such situation, the turnover is causing a shortage in the quality of the employees. When the applicants are well qualified and quickly master the job, high turnover incur cost of the churn. And if the filling position takes time, may cause shortage. Turnover affects the business process mostly through a lack of full complement of the employees, as in the case of many call centers. Such, thus, how long it takes to fill a vacancy is the key factor for the turnover implication. A completely different situation is where the turnover creates a capability shortage, such as where it can takes time to learn the job and experienced individuals are leaving to be replaced by the inexperienced one. Here, the reducing turnover of the time to fill the vacancies may not address the problem. Turnover can be reduced without increasing overall workforce experience, such as when the number of departments among the experienced employees, departures among the experienced employees arises, the number of departures of inexperienced employees falls by an equal or greater number. In the second situation, the pattern of turnover is the key. So the turnover level and time to fill may be such less important that keeping the experienced employee or spending the learning among the new employees. This point is that measurement precision is not the panacea. There is a great many scientific method is available to polish and some HR measures, making them more reliable and precise. Precision and the measurement can be important when guided by the logics and properly paired with analytics and appropriate change processes. The key is to consider the measurement quality as the other element of decision support system. Improved measure requires investment that should be directed when it is the greatest return, not simply where the improvement is most feasible. The last part of the LAMP model is the processes. The final element, it's the final element. In talentship paradigm, the ultimate criterion for the HR measurement is how it affects the organizational effectiveness and the strategic success. Measurements affect these outcomes through its impact on the decision and the behavior of those organizations on whether the decision and the behaviors occurs within the complex web of social startup, social structures, knowledge frameworks, and the organizational culture norms. Thus, a key component of the effective measurement system is that they would fit within a change management process that reflects the principle of learning and knowledge transfer. HR measures and the logic that supports them are the part of the influence team. Dr. Susan Moran of the Moharram Marmanan of Center of Effective Organization at University of Southern California has proposed the HR measures must take account of the learning cycle in the organization. She emphasizes that once the data has been refined into analysis and displayed to the potential areas, it enters into a complex social process of interpretation, assimilation, and iteration. Appreciating these values can help the avoid common problems that can make the HR measurement incomplete and need the information users. For example, research shows that in that if the manager perceives the HR issues as a strategic and the analytical, they simply not attend to the analytic or numerical analysis. They seem to repair the HR into a soft category of the phenomenon and beyond analysis, and therefore only rely on the addressal through the opinions, politics, or less analytical approaches. So, an initial step of effective measurement is to get the manager to accept the HR analytics as analysis is possible and could be informative. The way to do that is the option often not to present the most sophisticated analysis right away. Instead, the best approach way to is to present relatively simple measures that clear the content of the mental framework of the and the managers are familiar with. In some organizations, simply calculating and tracking the cost of turnover, for example, reveals that the millions might be saved that even with the modest turnover reduction. Many organization leaders have conveyed that in different articles published across the globe that turnover analysis with their first realization that the HR issues can be connected with the tangible economic and accounting outcome that was familiar with them. No one would suggest that measuring only the cost of the turnover is sufficient for good decision making. Certainly, overzealous attempts to cut the turnover cost can lead to compromises on the candidate's quality and have negative impact that for the outweighs the cost saving. Yet the right change process may dictate yet the right change process may dictate starting with the turnover cost before the presenting manager with more complete analysis. An initial analysis using the cost reduction may create a needed awareness about the some analytical logic used by the financial technology or the marketing investment can apply to the human resources. Returning to the human capital based framework, the HR measures in all the three anchor points, that is efficiency, effectiveness, and the impact, are useful. For a change management perspective, efficiency measures may be appropriate starting point on the building the measurement with the span of framework. Podio and Remstad have noted that a significant future evolution of the HR functions may be will be to transfer from the influence through responding to the client request or telling the constituents what is required. The transformation must enhance HR's influence through educating constituents and the principles of logic they can use to make the better human resource decision. Education is the core element in which the process model change process model works. In the ROI formula for the finance, it actually a talent pool for educating leaders in the key components of the financial decision. In the same way, HR measurement will educate constituents become more embedded with the organizational learning and the knowledge framework, even if it is unintended. The measures that are chosen and presented by the HR send signals about what is the importance and become the part of the social learning process of the organization. If the HR measures mainly cost the administrative control, they send a strong signal to the organization and the HR contribution may be limited to those areas. While everyone accepts that accept that people to drive the organizational effectiveness, it is the change process that articulates the um, um, practical meaning of the principle. Too often, organizations attempt to apply the measurement system across the entire employee population across the board. Examples include attempting to get a very precise head count on the attitude employees across the business countries and product line. They are often entails massive investment in the data system and measurement interface, and often requires measurement efforts in areas where the payoff is small. It can use the resentment among the HR clients which perceives the measurement processes as a waste of time and energy. From more progressive organizations, aims measurement efforts that have the most potential impact on the decision. Undoubtedly, headcount fluctuation is some in some talent pool are very crucial. If those talent pools are vital to strategic success and where the fluctuations in the headcount are highly disruptive, HR leaders and managers in those areas should be held accountable for careful monitoring the workforce levels. Similarly, employees' attitude are more crucial in some talent pools and than others. For example, some organizations have directed their efforts to deeply understand the employees' attitude towards the talent pool that interacts with the customer directly on the premises that both positive employee attitude in that areas are most likely to result in strong customer report. When guided by a framework like LAMP measurement efforts, take on more significant and measurement investment that can be targeted traditionally. Effective HR measurement system you must integrate the balance of all the elements of the LAMP framework. Every element plays its part, but is best when used in context with the other element. Overemphasizing logic can create frameworks that are too abstract for function or impossible to measure and analyze. Overemphasizing on analytics can lead to waste time and energy on analyzing that are technically rigorous have little connection or no connection with the real issues and little effect on the decision. Overemphasizing on measurements can lead to information overload, which even more elegant measurement achieving with little additional relevance. Overemphasizing on the change processes can lead to misguided energy and enthusiasm directed towards the objective that can be measured when they are not relevant. Framework like LAMP can be can provide diagnostic logic to make help avoid the information overload and be more certain that the HR measurements efforts will actually affect the organizational change. So when we are looking forward for the right logic, we need to understand the question that should come into our mind is that can we articulate a clear connection between the HR investment or the issues and organizational effectiveness? The analytics should be questions should come into our mind before coming up with the model is that can we create a design and analyze with the answer to the question we want to pose, or in the case of right measures, do we need to have or can we build indicators for the key components of the logical analysis? And in case of the right processes, will the approach to be compatible with the organizational values, culture, or readiness to act? These questions can help HR leaders to find the sweet spot where the measurement effort of the organizational changes. Bodio and Ramstad have noted that ever increasingly array of available HR measures and data analysis technology to create a very real risk of the HR measurements effort collapses under its own weight. Information overload is probably a much larger danger than information scarcity in today's HR world. The answer to this danger lies in moving beyond traditional model of HR and exclusively service delivery and beyond approaching the HR measurement merely as a way to construct and more HR measurement. Talentship emphasizes HR as a decision making and enhanced decision drives the organization change and effectiveness. By combining logic, analytics, measures, and processes, the HR and the business leader can vastly increase their chance of getting beyond the HR, beyond the wall in the HR measurement. The next important model or the framework is the human capital management framework of our 21st century, or in short, it is known as the SCM21 model. Okay. It was given by Fitch Inch. Fitch Inch, who has studied the HR analytics for years, now has formed the framework for the HR analytical on the basis of his studies. This framework is called as the Human Capital Management Framework for the 21st century, which is the framework predicting the measurement and the decision making that collects, organize, and analyze the data for assessing and predicting the future. The model constitutes of four main phases, that is scanning, planning, producing, and predicting. The first phase of the SCM21 is the strategic scan, which where the external and the internal factors and the business goals are compared to internal and external labor pools. The three fundamental capitals that are taken into the focus here are the human capital, structural capital, and the relational capital, which are defined as the structural capital. If we talk about the structural capital, all the employees that the organization owns are examples. For example, property of the are the structural part, that is the equipment, software, programs, and patents. Relational capitals is the knowledge and the social contact between the employee in the organization and between the employee in the organization and the stakeholders. And the first part, that is the human capital, is the total number of humans available in the organization with their knowledge and skills. The scanning done is the first phase, offers a foundation form in the next phase, which is the capability building. The first step of this phase is the capability planning worksheet, which is done by dividing the workforce into mission critical, that is essential to survive, unique, or also called as the market differentiator, important, that also known as the operational necessities, and movable, that is also known as that can be outsourced or eliminated. After this is the succession planning, which consists of recognizing the employees with the greatest potential, planning and development program for them, monitoring the results and ensure that the plans are aligned with the strategies and the key performance indicators. The third phase is producing, which consists of the process optimizing and integrating the delivery. In this phase, the different HR services are examined as a process and processes, and the process optimization aims at increasing the efficiency and the effectiveness of these different processes. For example, hiring or retention. Statistical analysis can be utilized in order to find the most cost-effective choice. Integrated delivery helps on identifying the company's level objective and the key goals of different functions of the department. The fourth phase of the model is the predicting measurement, where it includes the strategic, operational, and leading indicators. The goal is to analytics is to use analytics to identify different correlation and the approaches in order to comprehensive overview of the current situation. Special focus is directed on leading indicators with predicting the future. The final phase of the model is the analytic. According to Finch, HR analytics involves to identify connections between or inside the different factors since and described in the chart here. The alignment of the integration of the different phases and the factors of the SCM21 models enables more profound analytics, which can be identified with different HR analytics and algorithms. SCM21 framework illustrates the fact that how HR analytics is used as a tool in different planning, managing, and decision-making situations. It can be utilized when needed, but still an overall focus in the strategic business context. Analytical tool of SCM models also describes well different situation of the HR analytics can be used. Because of the different situation, tools and matrices can be used to different depends upon the context. In most of the HR processes, what we do, we discussed about in the both the LAMP framework as well as in the SCM21 framework. All the both of the framework or all the processes results into a simple understanding of the logic, the then analytics measures and position, or we can go with the SCM21 that scans the environment and do the predicting. So the HR processes that are there, and most of the HR would also accept that it's the one of the work the HR persons do, or the processes. There's the workforce planning. The business insight into that is resource needed, current and forecasted, and the work-related action program. The reason why we do that is to avoid the shortfalls or work shortfalls. Then we have the acquisition and the movement, uh, resulting into the problem resulting into the reduced cost and the improved quality. Workforce performance, demography and diversity, learning and development, and retention. So these are the HR processes we do. There are different business insights into that, leading into all the different processes. and finally getting into the result. So this actually the entire the function of the HR part, because the HR analytics has been discussed since the starting of the course, is that it is basically the understanding of the using the understanding of the HR acumen, using the statistical technique, and finally using the computational intensity or the technology to derive a database decision system. Okay. So the fundamental of all the processes in the HR is related to workforce planning, acquisition and movement, workforce performance, demography and diversity, learning and development, and retention. These are the processes on which the entire thing is based on, and then using the different statistical technique, we will be using that. So in this course, we'll try to take up one HR processes and solve it to the maximum. The entire process of the HR analytics is coming from the different processes is there, that we have the data sources coming from the demographic, compensation, engagement, performance, application tracking system, employee satisfaction survey. All these data are combined and cleaned, and the data is exported into an existing system or combined data set, and then finally start using the statistical tools. We analyze the pattern and the causal relationship, and one can build up the predictive model. Because of the novel area of the HR analytics are still very limited amount of academic research, it is likely that still can be found many challenges and yet not have been identified. These challenges are data related challenges, whether that there are too much data or indicators, and the data are in silos. This type of challenges, basically many are concerned with the challenges that too much data are matrices. If the organization try to measures everything, know everything and control everything, the task in hand might be too extensive, and as a result nothing get measured properly. Another important challenges is related to the data in silos. If the data are different from different internal and external sources cannot be integrated, a comprehensive picture of the overall situation of the organization is difficult to form. The second type of the challenge in the HR analytical process is the is the HR analytical process related ones. The HR analytics is not only about collecting data but also knowing how to use it. If too many matrices are used, the results might only lead to significant numbers of reports, and no one is reading. This may be the focus easily starts to disappear. Ulrich argues that the balancing between looking outside and knowing the inside, but for also understanding what the measurements and the parameters mean. These are the context bound, and the parameters are just a piece of overall information. Many of the authors also have said that the parameter serves as the reference point, which begins with the reflection process. The data and analytics do not often lead straightforward to the action. HR analytics is still sometimes seen as the replacement of the human capital thinking. According to Castellino, it is more balancing between the human capital judgment and the qualitative and the analytics. Qualitative information, for example, observation and interviews, is needed to, in addition to the hard data. All in all, it is important to understand that everything cannot be measured and everything that is measured cannot be managed. Equally important is the understanding that when in predicting the future, the past is not always the guarantee of the future. Wellborn concludes that also the way that the data is present are more measure effects of the decision making processes. She describes that the data driven storytelling is the in which the focus is directed on the presentation of the data analytics, not the analytics itself. By this, she means that in addition to understanding of the word of the analytics, HR professionals should learn to transform this information into the insights and present it in a way which will gather the attention of the board. In addition to this, a special focus should be directed. The third type of challenge is the people-related challenge. Analytics might offer a good excuse to treat employees as pure resources, and special attention should be paid on the human side of the human resources. The fourth type of challenge that are the managerial challenges. McAfee and Biffenloy has raised their question in the terms of the hippos. By this means that the decision-making process of the organization often rely heavily on the highest paid person opinion and their intuition. Hence, it is important that the organization critically evaluate the decision-making process in order to avoid this. Many authors also note that the places demands the entire organization culture. Instead of asking the question, what do we think? The right question is that, what do we know? The fifth and the last type of challenge is the ethical and the privacy related challenges. The organization need to be able to protect the sensitive employee information. Collecting and using the data, different internal and external sources might expose the questions of discrimination lawsuits. Moreover, do organization have the right to collect the large data of the employees? The data privacy issues could be a critical issues in future because of the accelerating amount of the data on people that can be collected from the sample over the internet. Also, the ISO has come up with the data collection technique.